village of conflicting ideologies and complexities. Understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before.
Join the radio man Edmond Obilo on State Affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo. Radio just got deeper.
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Hello, people. Hello, Africa. My dear Africa. I love you, Africa. Hello, people. Hello, Nigeria. I love you, Nigeria. I love the East. I love the West. I love the North. The Middle Belt is in my heart. The Niger Delta. Accept my love this morning. For in love, we'll build a great people. Humanity is in search of love, and love dwells in us. Let's nurture it, let's grow it. Hello, your state, how are you? The pace setter state, lovely people. Ibadan, Ọ̀yọ́, Ìṣẹ̀yìn, Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́, beautiful people. Welcome to the side of time, the lovely time, the duty time. It's the radio man's time. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Edmondo Pilo. It's a country in crisis. Therefore, the task before this generation is huge. So I have titled this class, A Country in Crisis. The task before this generation. When a country is in crisis, it's not just about the government, it's about us. So this program is also a call for sober reflection. Because you look at the data, things are not getting better. If you look at the analysis and the reports, it seems things would get worse. Yes, government will say, we are working. They always say that. But the data does not prove that things are getting better. So we need to put on our thinking cap, fellow countrymen and women. Yes, we can blame this, we can blame that. But let's look back into ourselves. It's about the mind. Are you with me this morning in this class of history, politics, and power? I'm saying it's about the mind. I've been studying development round the world. I'm not done yet. I'm still studying it. Even where I am now, I am studying it. It's about the mind. People, it's about the mind. When the people are poor, it's about their mindset. The mindset of their leaders. Look, I know there are carefully orchestrated conspiracies holding back the development of Africa. I know that. That is why it's a game. What politics is a game? Nobody really cares about you. So if you don't care about yourself, they will take advantage of your careless attitude and they will rain riot on your system. I know there is the international conspiracy authored and executed by the advanced countries of the world in Africa. I know. And I hope you know. If you don't know, now you know. This conspiracy has caused countries like Nigeria to remain mere producers of raw materials to feed the production sectors of the big economies. But a more disheartening conspiracy against the progressive movement of the mostly poor population of Africa is the one planned and executed internally by Africans who should be in the vanguard of casting their lots with their peoples and improving the years of decay and lost opportunities that keep the scar, Africa, in the conscience of the world. Hello, class. Did you know that more than 2 million children in sub-Saharan Africa die annually from hunger-related diseases? Yet, the core of the continent's leadership remains among the richest, mostly from stolen state resources. If you go to Sudan at the moment, go to the Darfur Axis, that has made war upon the people. South Sudan has gained independence from Sudan. Hunger and deprivation is making war on the people. Ethiopia ordinarily should be a beacon of development in Africa, considering its rich history. You can classify Ethiopia as a country in constant war. If you look at the Congo is in a mess. If you come to West Africa, the Sahel is in trouble, in deep trouble. The Sahel region is in trouble. You have militants occupying large swaths of territories. If you come to Nigeria, Nigeria is a country in crisis. A new report emerged during the week. And that report is telling the story of how jihadi fighters from Sahel region, when we talk Sahel, the desert region of West Africa, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, these are countries bogged down by serious insurgencies, where insurgents are government, they are controlling territories. Now, these insurgents are now crossing deeper into the heart of Nigeria from this report. The report says they are crossing into Nigeria through the Benin Republic border. It's a report released on Wednesday by the Clinch-Dell Institute, a Dutch think tank. They did an extensive research in the Sahel. And when they begin to release this report, it is clearly they are seeing something or they are behind something. The Sahel region has seen a surge in terrorist attacks and extremism, particularly in these countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic. Niger shares border with Nigeria. So these border regions have been particularly affected, with terrorist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State expanding their influence and carrying out attacks on government forces and civilians. So what do we have in this region? Increasing military coups in recent time. At some point, these West African countries have sent out United States and French troops from their country, and Russia is coming in. Now, Nigeria is also an epicenter of this violence. Boko Haram is now a constant. In fact, if you go to those areas, Boko Haram is now involved in businesses. It seems we have accepted it. Atrocities are being committed in Sokoto, in Zamfara, in Benue. The report said that the extremists have settled in Kainji Lake National Park in Niger State rather, and Kebbi State. That the extremists have settled in Kainji Lake National Park in Niger and Kebbi State. So these are problems that this generation must tackle. Have no fear. They are not insurmountable problems. It's about the mind. Until the internal conspiracy being perpetrated by African leadership is broken, the prospect of confronting international hegemonic tendencies remains slim. Remember World War II? World War II is a portrait of politics that explains Western conspiracy and the dynamic nature of events leading to the emergence of the present global order. This order was designed by the West, and the workings of this order favors Western alliances. I don't know if you have read Okendibe's book entitled Never Look an American in the Eye. Have you read that book? Written by the scholar Okendibe. Interesting book. Interesting story. I recommend the book to you. Never Look an American in the Eye. Beautiful read. You can get that book on udarabooks.com. Now, in the book, Ndibe reflects on the narrative of the alliances during World War II. Because Okendibe also used that book to tell the story of his father. He says his father, Christopher Ndibe, was a genial man of noble bearing and quietly brave. He was a soldier in the Royal West African Frontier Force. He fought in World War II. Thousands of Nigerians fought in World War II. You know, World War II was a war that raged from 1939 to 1945. Nigeria hadn't gotten independent at that time. In fact, there was no Nigerian army at the time. What existed in British West Africa was the West African Frontier Force that was commanded by Britain. So they recruited many Africans from their colonial territories to go fight their war. So thousands of Nigerians fought in the war. Okendibe in his book wonders why Africans were consigned to the margins, their role often altogether erased when the drama of the war is narrated, as if Africa did not participate in the war, as if Africa did not contribute to the Allied forces that eventually won the war. So at the end of the war, it was Western countries that enjoyed the Marshall Plan that released money for the rebuilding of Europe, North Africa. If you read Ndibe's book, you'll get deeper insight into some of these items. You know, he shows a deep appreciation of the power of the mind by raising objection to the imbalance that puts less developed countries at the periphery of the world system. Hello. Call your friends. They should come into this class. Call your children. Call your daddy, your mommy. They should come in. It's a class for sober reflection. A country in crisis. The task before this generation. Yes. It is also true that countries doing well are those that have mastered the art of directing the course of their nations on the basis of their uniqueness. This means winning the mind game. So the task before this generation, one of the tasks before this generation, is winning the mind game. The mindset in Africa is wrong. And until we change that mindset, what I call mind re-engineering, we'll go nowhere. Have you not seen that since 1999, we continue to elect different persons
some with degree from Harvard, Oxford, some with PhD from UI, from IFE, yet they cannot grow the country. Say, sometimes PhD does not change the mindset. It must be a deliberate plot to change the mindset of our people. And mindset changing also means you must change the environment that causes the mindset, the culture that allows such mindset. That was what China did under the Cultural Revolution. Though Mao took it too far, it became too bloody, that if you're not ready to change, they take you out. But you can see the result. China is on the ascendancy, rising. China, the world power. Mao launched the Cultural Revolution, but I will not call for a bloody Cultural Revolution, because more than 10 million persons were killed in China, but they needed to change the mindset of the people to a new China. I have not seen any program launched and effectively pursued to change the mindsets of Nigerians, because the leaders do not come to equity with clean hands. Sheyi Makinde is trying to create some institutions at this time, and the institutions are geared towards changing the mindset of Oyo State people. I would see how far the governor would go, but it is a great initiative. I am waiting for the implementation, because it is a battle. You know, that was the first thing the colonialists did to conquer us. They needed to change our mindset. They needed to turn our minds against the things that belongs to us. They needed to condemn our religion and give us their religion. They needed to destroy our cultural education system and give us the enlightened education, enlightened in quote. And we began to behave like them. It was even worse in the French colonies. It was the policy of assimilation that Africans must behave like French. They must totally change themselves. And it took them about 100 years to achieve this. We are still in it. I'm not condemning the totality of their ways, no. Because if you study human history, somehow we are connected in our behaviors. Just as some have emphasized what they believed in more and have driven it into the minds of others. Hey. So one of the lessons to take away is that we have to win the mind game. It means that no race is superior, that humanity have the capacity for endless innovations, and the African is not an exception. The belief system and traditional aspirations of the people guide their political and economic engagement. I want you to take note of this. The belief system and traditional aspirations of a people guide their political and economic engagement. You see, the totality of the behavior of Nigeria's political leadership is a reflection of our traditional beliefs. It's a reflection of our ethnic aspirations. And that is what you see in the leaders. Don't just say, oh, Tinubu. No, don't say. You see, the burden they carry is a reflection of the environment that produced them. And unfortunately, we've not been able to have a Lee Kuan Yew that was, okay, environment is human creation. So we can change the environment to recreate our mind. That is why when I am looking for leaders, I'm looking at what you say and your behavior, not what you are saying. Because I look at your politics, how you play it, it tells me your mindset. I say, no. Like Buhari was a great mistake. Buhari is one of the biggest burden that Nigeria unleashed on itself. How did I take for granted his mindset? But having said that, it's not just about Buhari. It is the environment. Okay. You see, we are talking. So I'm going to open the lines. I want you to join this discourse. It's a class for sober reflection. I would like to hear from you. So you have my WhatsApp number. That is 080 18449. That's my WhatsApp number. So you can call me. Let's begin to take the message home. 080 WhatsApp calls 18449. If you're listening on Facebook, the number is there. On YouTube, the number is pinned to the broadcast. You can also leave your comments. Let's reflect deeply. I can see the complaints. Yes, you have a right to complain. But as we complain, let's continue to reflect on our situation. So I'll be happy to hear from you. Okay, there's a call here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, you can hear me? I can hear you.
Good morning, sir.
All right, let me cut off this call. Yes, just keep trying. And when you call a radio station, don't speak with your bedroom voice. Project. Project your voice. It gives command to your message. Hello, good morning.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where you... Okay.
From Osun State.
Okay, good to hear your voice.
The network is bad.
The network is bad, but I can hear you. All right. Let's keep trying. Good morning.
Good morning, the radio man.
I greet you.
Happy weekend.
Same to you.
Can you hear me? Yeah, this is Temitope.
All right, go ahead to make your point.
Yeah. I like your summation this morning about Lee Kuan Yew changing the environment. But I want you to realize something. When I was young, we thought
It's breaking. It's breaking. All right. I've taken another call. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Now, when I'm talking about change of environment, do you realize that we might misbehave in Nigeria on our roads, break traffic rules, but immediately you land in Dubai, you behave yourself because your environment has changed. Some Nigerian students will not want to read or carry out research in our dying university system that sometimes discourages you from reading. But immediately you land in Harvard, you become so serious and become the best. Environment has changed. At that point, your mind changes. You now respond to the environment. You see? Okay. Let me take this call. Let me see. Some of us are having network problems. Hello, good morning.
Obilo.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Headman.
Go ahead and make your point.
Thank you. Yes, the behavior of the political class is a reflection of the traditional belief of the people. But for how long will that behavior, because that's what differentiates leadership, and that's what differentiates institutional trust from socialized or generalized trust. For how long is the leadership continue to behave that way, such that we cannot differentiate the leader from the follower, from the leadership kind of knowledge, from the leadership or the knowledge of those who are following? And I think that is where leadership comes in, that you are able to differentiate yourself and distinguish yourself from the public. Because what is the point if Lee Kuan Yew was not just acting. He had the leadership skill. He had the leadership edge over the people. And that was why he was able to drive them. That is what we are lacking. It may be that we are generally people who behave in a certain kind of way. But there are people who have voted to make the change. For how long are we going to blame that general belief, that general knowledge, that general mindset? And we continue to indulge the leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the radio station. That is why I'm raising this subject. That is why, if you look at how China builds her leadership, there's what you call leadership training. And they indoctrinate you. That is what terrorists are doing. You can see terrorists, they are ready to die for their cause. This is indoctrination. It's also the method for nation building. It's the same method, indoctrination. You can either do it through democratic institutions. There are different methods to attain it. You can also do it through traditional institutions. Japan was a world power. In fact, Japan was the only world power in Asia during the Second World War. China had risen and fallen due to the same traditional belief. Different dynasties came. And meanwhile, we've been making reference to Lee Kuan Yew, a small country, a city-state. Singapore is a city-state. It's not as even big as Ibadan. But we keep talking about it. That is why I always say, if you are interested in leadership and innovation, read Lee Kuan Yew's book. It's an autobiography, but it's a book on leadership. From third word to first, by Lee Kuan Yew. You get that book on udarabooks.com, and you can get it by contacting me through my WhatsApp numbers, where I'm bringing in more copies as I come back to the country. Because I am never tired of going through his mind. It's about the mind. You could see how they changed their society. They began, that is why I agree. You need philosopher kings. Philosophy is about thinking. Deep thinkers to change society. That's why Awolowo was exceptional. Not because he was an angel. He was a reflective thinker. He wanted to change the environment of the Yoruba people. And by and large, the country. Yeah, he made some mistakes, no doubt. Life is about making mistakes. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Radio Man. I think my network was reconnecting the other time. Is Temitope again?
Good, Temitope.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, I think if you could remember in the 80s, the early 90s, very good society then. If you remember during the why again in discipline, you can never eat anything and drop the waste on the road or whatever. That is society then. And when we are in primary school, secondary school then, there's no cost for you to take much money to school because your teacher will ask you, where do you get this money from? You have to call your parent back to school the other day to confirm maybe they are the one that give the money to you or not. So then I think this leader we have nowadays, they are part of those generations that build that kind of society for us. But I don't know why they turn to this just because of their self-interest, their selfishness to extort the country. So I don't think Nigeria cannot be built again. It can be built. But just because of their interest, they don't want people to be enlightened. They are doing all these things and they are destroying the country. Thank you, the radio man.
Thank you, Temitope. Thank you. I appreciate this call. Yes, you have more time to make your contributions. Let's reflect. The data are saying that things will not get better soon. Get that clear. So hunger is likely to rise. Inflation is likely to rise. And I'm saying that for us to build a kind of society that is for the common good, we need to change our mindset. And it's a task for this generation. Our university system is failing. Our health system is failing. Our road system is failing. Yes, there are certain improvements. Those who get it right, yeah. We are doing certain things, but it is not big enough to trigger that general movement of a people towards prosperity. I will call for our break soon, but let me make further points before we go for that break. I have made the point that no race is superior. That humanity have the same capacity for endless innovations, and the African is not an exception. I've talked about the belief system and traditional aspirations of a people and how they guide their political and economic engagement. You see, they reflect easily. When a Yoruba man is contesting, an Igbo man is contesting a Fulani, it becomes a tribal question. That traditional sense of a people. People will just align. Not everybody though. The enlightened ones always pick who they want to pick. They just align on the basis of ethnicity. So in that case, if their son is performing poorly, they are partial. It's our son, it's our turn. They let him steal it. So they encourage stealing because it is being done by their tribe. So the other tribes will be protesting. If you go, especially on X, there is a very terrible discussion going on. It's like a war between some ethnic jingoists of Igbo extraction and Yoruba extraction. I pity them. When I read their comment, I just pity them. And they are intensifying it by the day. And you can see it's a creation of the last election, especially in Lagos State. It's a creation of the last election. And if it is not managed, it will snowball into something. Under Buhari, it was like the Igbo, Yoruba against Fulani. Under Tinubu, it has become Yoruba versus Igbo. And some ethnic jingoists are driving the narrative so intensely that when I read it, I cringe. I said, what is going on? But it's a creation of the system, of the environment. And it would rise. In fact, during the week I was reading comments, some very disgusting comments. I said, no, it's time to begin to tackle it before this ethnic jingoist of Igbo and Yoruba extraction take the narrative totally from everybody. Because at the moment, the Fulani does not even engage so much in discussion. The Fulani is always quiet. It is always the Yoruba Igbo. They are the ones always engaging, and now it's becoming intensely negative from both sides. Barrister Juduka, I can see you calling, but I won't pick your call. I'm going for a break. And when I come back, I'll pick your call. But let me round off this point before I go for this break. It is clear that the African features at the periphery of the global economic order. And it's a fallout of the mind game in the international system. I'm not blaming America. I was reading an article written by Adegboyega Adedire and Disu Abayomi. That scholarly article is entitled Nigeria and the Second World War, an examination of British recruitment strategies in Nigeria. So what both scholars did was to draw attention to the participation of Nigerians in the war, with focus on how they were recruited into its events. So they stated clearly that Britain at this time required recruits with simplicity of character who in a short time would transfer loyalty from their local chief to a white officer. I want you to take note of that point. Let me read it again. Britain at this time required recruits with simplicity of character. Simplicity of character, those they could mold. And those with hardcore character, they would eliminate if possible. You saw what they did to Jaja Fopobo, Obaovora Menogbai C. And you see why they would not hand over to Awolowo or Azikiwe at independence. Because these were not men with simple mindsets. There was no way they could manipulate Awolowo. They tried it in Ghana, just that they would have eliminated Nkrumah. Just that Nkrumah was so stubborn. That's Azikiwe didn't have that kind of stubbornness. That is why they were even Awolowo. That is why they were skimmed out. Because Balewa did not fight for independence. Awolowo and Zik were skimmed out because they were not stubborn enough. Nkrumah did not take it. In fact, Nkrumah won election from prison. And when Britain saw that if they took Nkrumah out, there will be crisis in the Gold Coast, they just said, okay, let's give the country to him. But in Nigeria, they were playing ethnic politics, that same traditional politics, Azikiwe, Awolowo, negative politics. And they handed the country to Tafawa Balewa, who did not have the Awolowo capacity in any way, in terms of writing, I'm not belittling Balewa, but I'm saying that the two men who were in the forefront for the fight for independence did not get it in Nigeria. Awolowo, Azikiwe, Ahmadu Bello did not fight for independence. That does not take away their brilliance. I'm saying those who fought for it, they get it. Anthony and Nauru. So Britain at this time required recruits with simplicity of character who in a short time would transfer loyalty from their local chief to a white officer. See, Britain knew what it means, mind re-engineering. The political class is also doing mind re-engineering in Nigeria, but it is negative. You see, every Nigerian now, okay, let me not use the word every, but many Nigerians now will steal if they have the opportunity. It is mind engineering by the political class. That even if you employ somebody to work for you now, after 1 month, he's thinking of how to steal from you. The negative mind re-engineering going on by the political class. You see their discussions at the Senate. It's not intense. There's no way it can trigger positive mind re-engineering. Because those who are saying, oh, let's create wealth, are those who are cornering the wealth. So it doesn't work that way. So what Britain did was to achieve through persuasion and coercion, mind re-engineering of the African. So the assertion by the scholars gives credence to the notion that the mind is the engine of the state. According to Winston Churchill, the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. He was a great British leader, so he made that statement. So take note of that statement. That the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. And I've taken time to read the great speeches of Winston Churchill. Give it to them too. They are brilliant. They are very brilliant. The West is brilliant. And Asia is brilliant. Africa is also brilliant. If you read Winston Churchill, you see the power of the mind. fellow countrymen and women, African. Character was critical if the military ambition of Britain during the war would be achieved. The colonialists worked on the minds of Africans, recreating them to suit their aims. It is a mind game. It is the failure of the Nigerian state to create a mindset of true nationhood that has exposed it to political and economic uncertainties, resulting in inter-ethnic crisis, poverty, ruthless corruption, and politics of deceit. President Tinubu is a representation of the sad state of Nigeria. Like Buhari, like Jonathan, like Tinubu, the program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. The discourse continues. Well, let me take a break and get a glass of water. All right, the radio man is here.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
We have studied the course. Democracy is neither a foreign nor abstract concept devoid of real-life meaning for us. Neither can we afford to reduce or minimize it to being nothing but the mere holding of periodic elections where one candidate and party outdo another. While elections attract democratic attention, they are but one aspect of democracy. Democracy is a way of life that encompasses a broad outlook of which elections are but a part. As such, a nation can have elections without being democratic, but a nation cannot be truly democratic without holding elections. That we have established a tradition of holding transparent, open, and fair elections gives credence to our democratic standing. That we have experienced peaceful transitions of government affirms our democratic temperament. Fellow Nigerians, true democracy shined its light on the daily lives of the people who live under its nurturing wings. It affords us the freedom and liberty to think as we want, live where we want, and pursue whatever legitimate endeavors suits us. Democracy does not assume some false or false unity of opinion. In fact, democracy assumes that conflicting ideas and differing opinions shall be the order of the day, given the diversity and variety of the human experience. There must be diverse perspectives and viewpoints. What democracy demands is that we do not resolve differences through force and repression, but to make allowance for the legitimacy of views that differ from our own. The other forms of government imposed against the will of the people. Democracy aims to make leaders who conduct themselves as servants of the common good, not as viceroys of the narrow interests of the might.
Here we go! State Affairs with Edmond Obino is live. Stay tuned.
Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members of the House, economic prosperity will mean nothing in an insecure environment. I think it's the minority leader who was talking about insecurity in Okyogun area, Shaki, Kishibo. Well, it is a big issue, not only for government, because when people say, oh, they kidnap people in our area and all of this, we always say to them, if you see something, say something to us, and then we will ensure that something is done about it. If you see strange people within your area and you're not saying it until something, happens, then you're also to take part of the blame. So for all of you, I want to implore you, when you go home, it's not only a constituency project that you're going to inspect. You also let the people know what are the strange things happening around this environment. If you have headache now, well, you may think it's malaria, or you may think, okay, this headache is just dehydration. Maybe I need to drink a bit more water. But what if it's a brain cancer or something really catastrophic?
In the global village of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before.
Join the radio man, Edmond Obino, on state affairs, the local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmond Obino. Radio just got deeper. Here we go! State Affairs with Edmond Obino is live. Stay tuned.
Hello. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Edmundo Bilo. So I'm streaming on Edmundo Bilo's social media pages, X, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, so you can join me there. You can also download State Affairs app on Google Play Store and Apple Store to join the discourse. You can also download or listen to Splash FM on Splash FM Facebook page. You can listen from any part of the world. Just search for Splash FM on Radio Garden. You're good to go. So don't send me a message saying, oh, I miss listening to your program because I have left Ibadan. But once I see such messages, I say, oh, this person is not innovative. How can you say that in the 21st century, that because you left Ibadan, you have missed listening to me? Or you just have to tell me you don't have money for data. That would be understandable. Because in this age and time, I'm not in Ibadan now, but I'm broadcasting. Yeah? I'm broadcasting. So that is the power of the time. You must change your mindset. So when I see such messages, I say, oh, this person hasn't changed his or her mindset. He's still in the past. I listen to any program now in Lagos, London. I listen to different radio stations in New York. From anywhere I am. So let's take some calls. Make your point brief. Let's take some calls. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you are calling from?
My name is Oladiran Sholaja, the Unstoppable from Challenge.
The ball is in your court.
All right. Actually, I have listened to your lessons this morning, and I must confess that you have been a good teacher of mine. I've been listening to you for years now, and I'm really, really good listening to you. You know, with what you came up with this morning, myself, I've been seriously looking into it. By the time you give yourself to studying, listening to people like you, listening to people that have good understanding about Nigeria that can actually help us to have the right mindset, for us to know how to make the right decisions, we don't just discover that others that give their time to, even if they are using their telecommunication devices, just like you are teaching us this morning, they will only be watching cartoons, only be watching comedy, something that will make them laugh. And by the time the time comes for us to make decision, don't forget to just make your own decision, just like voting. And you will see them making wrong decision, all in the euphoria of is our local, these northern people have made their own, they are taking their own share of the cake. So it is time for us now to take our own fair share of the cake. I just pray that our mindsets are actually informed in the right direction, so that by the time it is time for us to make decisions, all of us will be able to make wise and right decisions. Because as long as they continue in their numbers like that, you will just discover that even you, with all the education that you have gotten, with all the books, like you are always dishing out books for us to read, for us to know the right thing to do, for us to make the right decision to take. You don't just discover, you just go there and just put your own one on print. And by the time they come out in their numbers, all what you are prepared for is almost to no avail. All right, thank you so much. I so much enjoy you, sir. Thank you. God bless us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for always being there. Remember, the problems are not insurmountable. We are getting closer to solving them. Hello, Barrister Ijiruka. Remember, the problems are not insurmountable.
Hello.
Yeah, Barrister Ijiruka.
Good morning, Edmond.
Good morning.
Yeah. Yes. It's a fitting topic you brought this morning. And I'm happy that you said you made a terrible mistake, not paying attention to the mindset of Buhari. You see, 7 tragedies have happened to Nigeria, beginning from 1914. That amalgamation was the first tragedy that happened to Nigeria. The 7th and ultimate tragedy was the election of Buhari as president of Nigeria. It was ultimate tragedy. And I have never minced words in saying that if we find somebody as brilliant as Awolowo or Azikiwe to take up government from Buhari, it will take him 30 years to repair the wreckage that Buhari foisted upon Nigeria. But if the person not as brilliant as I was, just an average person, it will take 50 years. Buhari was a tragedy in all ramifications. This is a man who said when he was campaigning to become president that dogs and baboons will be soaked in blood if he didn't win that election. The people he's referring to as dogs and baboons are Southerners and Christians of northern extraction who doesn't support his ambition, and Muslims of northern extraction who doesn't support his ambition. Those are the people he said will be wasted in bloodshed. And it wasn't an empty threat, because 4 years before then, CPC talks did it. After losing that election, they went after the youth corps. They didn't allow Buhari to win, because those youth corps insisted that the 10 years and 12 years old voters will not be allowed to vote. They went after them and killed 12 of them, including other 800 Nigerians.
You can't say Buhari went after them. Let's be careful.
CPC talks. I didn't say Buhari. CPC talks.
Good.
And the killing was going on. Buhari kept quiet until I think it was United States or UK that shouted on him that, call these people back. You want the killings to continue? Before Buhari reluctantly spoke and the killing stopped. So it was a tragedy electing that kind of man president of Nigeria, and blood flew throughout his 8 years reign. From the villages to the hamlets to the farmlands to the highways blood was flowing everywhere throughout Buhari's regime, because that was his essence, that was his personality. Now let me leave Buhari. I'm happy that you acknowledge it this morning. It was a big mistake, and Nigeria will take a lot of time for Nigeria to recover from it. What is the fastest route to recover from all these errors? This Nigeria's morals today is a result of cumulative errors, decisions, and indecisions of past leadership right from 1960. I said something before a friend was just looking at me. I said there was a simple formula that could have saved Nigeria of all these problems. Why did not occur to Awo and Zik and Tafawa beats my imagination? Knowing that there is ethnic rivalry in Nigeria, all they needed to do at the time we were getting is to put it to the condition that the headship of the government of Nigeria, president or prime minister, should rotate among the 3 regions. First region, 10 years. Second region, 10 years. Third region, 10 years. And it goes back again. That simple formula would have saved the civil war. It would have saved the coup. It would have saved so many things. And it would have enabled us to have the administration of 3 brilliant Nigerians, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and Ahmadu Bello. Ahmadu Bello may not be as educated as the first two, but he's also a brilliant administrator. That my friend now told me the reason. He said, do I know? He said, nobody in Nigeria, no, for the president of development, when they are thinking, we become the head of Nigeria, they are not thinking of how the whole country will benefit. They are only thinking of their own people. How they will use their own ethnic religion, give their own ethnic religion undue advantage to dominate and take everything is what they always think. Except Nigeria has never had a detribalized leader in the true sense of it. And that is why they did it. That thing never occurred to them that let's move the power of government among the three regions to save us all the house. And the point, and the recent events have confirmed it. In fact, not even recent events. When Buhari was saying he want to become president, was he not saying he want to make Nigeria go? At the end of the day, was he not to dominate, to entrench his own people in powerful positions? The current president is doing it, and I like it. The way he's putting Yorubas in all key positions, I like it. I'm enjoying it. In fact, I'm waiting for him to appoint a next chairman. If he appoints a Yoruba man, I will give him a standing ovation. I want those who don't understand the structuring to understand it. Let him repeat everything Buhari did 10 times. We have to go back to regional government. Nigeria can only succeed as a confederation. Nigeria cannot succeed as a federation again. It has been poisoned. The death of Abiola, the annulment of June 12, the coup of January 15, the counter coup of July 20, all are poisoned. Nigeria cannot make over as a federation again. It's a confederation. That was what Ahmed Bello said initially. And he told the British that Nigeria can only succeed as a confederation. But they ignored him. But Awolowo and Azikiwe joined together to defeat him. But now we know that Nigeria can only succeed. If I see anybody now who stand before me and say want to stop the problem of Nigeria as a unit from Abuja, I will tell him before he even say that, look, you are a failure. You can't make a success of it.
All right.
Good morning.
Barrister Ijiruka has spoken. Thank you. Okay, let's take another call. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Okay, I have Tony Adeyemi here. Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning, Edmond.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Oluwatoyin Adeyemi.
Good to hear your voice.
So I am happy. Like I was happy when you mentioned something about the fact that there seems to be a conspiracy by some foreign powers against Africa. Why did I say this? You know, on June 12th, I sat with some other young Africans from Kenya, Ghana, Ethiopia, and some other countries like that on the invitation of the MasterCard Foundation. And one of the things we're able to establish is that most of the issues that we have in Africa are similar. You know, talking about bad governance, bad leadership, corruption, and most of the issues that we've always discussed on state affairs. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go on.
Yes, and you just opened my eyes to the fact that there's a systemic plan to probably just keep Africa perpetually underdeveloped. You know, the meeting I went for was held in Kigali, and I looked at what happened in Rwanda. You know, I know a lot of people are familiar with the genocide, how a particular tribe was exterminated. And you were also talking about what is going on Twitter. You know, I've not been on social media for a while now, for close to 2 weeks or so now, because I also felt that hate, especially between the Igbos and the Yorubas. And you see the conversation, you see the hatred, and you're wondering, where is this coming from? And these are people that you have as friends, you know, and it's not like you can't relate with these people. But then you go on social media and you see this hatred, you see what people are spewing, and you are scared. Because this was how it actually started, especially through the media in Rwanda too. Mm. And you're wondering why this seems to go on, and it seems like nobody is, or it's not like nobody is concerned, but we are not showing as much concern to stem what is going on. Mm. And there's something that I also did, my final submission anyways, that I also want to say. The issues we are having in Nigeria, they are enormous. But one thing that I feel that we should look at is this issue of local government administration. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Tony.
Yes, this issue of local government administration, because, for instance, in Oyo State, let me bring it home. In Oyo State, I also feel like Seyi Makinde is doing a lot. He's doing a lot, especially looking at Isheyin Road, trying to connect the Ibadan to these other towns in Oyo State, which actually makes sense, because you need to bring food, especially from all those places down to the cities and all. But then development has to be brought to people's doorsteps. And how do you do that? It's by making the local government to work. There's no way that people will feel development if there are no roads that leads to their homes. If the roads to their homes are bad, if there's no electricity, if everybody has to dig boreholes in their homes, these are the real development issues. And then it's the local government that can do most of these things that we're talking about. So please, someone like you, Edmond Obilo, you have the ears of the governor. You should try and empower the local government chairman and let them do some of this basic work that would actually make people feel the effect of this administration. There are no roads leading to people's homes. How many people can afford to live in the cities? We're talking about minimum wage now. We're talking about minimum wage. We are still stuck on 62,000 naira. And for you to get accommodation within the city, you are looking at, these are issues that I've raised on my social media pages before now, and there seems to be no response from any corners. But these are the real issues. These are the things that we should begin to talk about.
Thank you.
You can't get decent accommodation in Ibadan now, in town, like all this Jericho, Akobo. You can't get decent accommodation for less than 1 million naira. For a family, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. You need to people have to, especially civil servants and poor people, need to go to lesser areas. This is where people are living, and there are no roads in all of these areas. There are broken down bridges. There's no electricity. We are in Banhi. There's no electricity. So please let's allow local government to work. Let's take development to the people. All these roads that are the roads in the main cities that they are repairing. The roads are good. Let's have roads where roads are needed.
All right.
So thank you, Edmond Obilo. These are the issues that we should fix, that we should talk about.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
That is Tony Adeyemi making her point. She's talked about road. I think Seyi Makinde talked about road during his State of the State broadcast. He talked about local road. So Tony, let me play this for you, and perhaps Seyi Makinde has responded to your plea. So let's hear from the governor.
The grading of roads, I believe I already given a nod for implementation of about 30 kilometers of roads per local government. They should go ahead and grade it up. We're giving the nod. I understand maybe they're waiting for the break. You know, we normally have July, August break. But the money is sitting in the account of each local government right now.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
of roads, I believe I already given a nod for implementation of about 30 kilometers of roads per local government. They should go ahead and grade it up. We're giving the nod. I understand maybe they're waiting for the break. You know, we normally have July-August break. But the money is sitting in the account of each local government right now.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmond Obino is live. Stay tuned.
You will also recall that starting with the 2024 budget, we allocated 15 billion naira annually for infrastructural renewal, classrooms and basic infrastructure in public primary and secondary schools in Oyo State. This, along with consistent payments of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC counterpart funds, will help us significantly reduce the infrastructural deficit in our public schools. Just a small note on where we've been over this past 4+ years. UBEC intervention, that's a SUBEB. Everybody before now, if you appointed SUBEB chairman, people are coming to you thinking this is a lucrative appointment. But quite frankly, with the deficit that we have in Oyo State, if we continue, because SUBEB, their budget is about 3 billion yearly, sometimes 2.5. We pay 1.5 or 1.25, and then the federal government through UBEC, they will put in the counterpart portion of it. The deficit that we have is between 40 and 50 billion. Most of our schools, no fence, you have roofs that have collapsed. But some of our children, you know, sitting on the floor to learn. So if we continue spending 3 billion consistently every year, it will take at least 15 years to close the gap. And we're quite aggressive. We want to close this gap in 3 years, starting from this year. What that means is that we will spend 15 billion every year consistently outside of UBEC SUBEB intervention to close that gap. And we're starting with about 70 schools that have approved. Once our students go on holiday, by the time they come back for first term of the next academic year, at least 70 schools will have been completely taken out of having any infrastructural deficit.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
The 2022 report on multidimensional poverty in Nigeria, this is the first of such reports ever produced, stated that 5 out of every 10 people in Oyo State are living in poverty, 50%. We're determined that the next time such a report is produced, Oyo State will have taken a huge leap forward and lifted millions more out of poverty. This is our promise. This is our pledge.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmond Obino is live. Stay tuned.
Our administration was able to attract the first gas supply and distribution infrastructure in the state. This will deliver gas to industrial and commercial users. I was in London a few weeks back. People thought I was on holiday, but I didn't go on holiday. I went to work. We signed a final investment agreement, and this circa $100 million project has been, the FID has been signed, and its completion date is Q4 2025. So indeed, Oyo State is fostering an industrial revolution through deliberate plans and strategic action. Earlier in the year, we were in Morocco and returned with a multi-million-dollar deal. Africa, a multinational with diverse business interests in the agro-business, mining, education, mattress production, wood carpentry, and PET recycling, will set up its factory here in Ibadan. Every time that I'm going to Lagos, I'm looking at the progress being made out there. Once you go past the Rashidi Ladoja GRA, if you look at your left, you will see a fence being done. That is the site of the factory. They're almost done with the fencing, and I've been assured that they are going to fast track the final investment decision on siting their factory out there. Well, this weekend and the whole of next week, we are off to Asia. I'm just putting you on notice. So when you hear that I'm in Japan, don't think I've gone there, on holiday again. I've gone there because we were invited by the World Bank to share our experience on the Ibadan Urban Flood Management Project, and also for us to seek additional funding to ensure that no part of Oyo State is ever going to be flooded again. We'll see. We know that the only way to get our people out of poverty and into prosperity is by increasing productivity. We must attract big businesses into our state and enable them to set up shop, not just in one zone, but all the zones of our dear states.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
In healthcare, we have continued to demonstrate that we deserve to remain the state of first. Just over a week ago, I was privileged to commission the first solarized pressure swing absorption oxygen plant at Jericho Specialist Hospital. And this project was facilitated by UNICEF, CHAI, NACA, IHS Towers, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in collaboration with the Canadian and Norwegian governments. This project will reduce morbidity and mortality due to hypoxemia in Oyo State by addressing the key barriers which limit access to high-quality diagnostics and medical oxygen delivery system in our health facilities. So in the first year of Omitutun 2.0, we completed the upgrade of General Hospital Aremo Ibadan and equipped 264 primary healthcare centers, including the ones upgraded under Omitutun 1.0. And we will, I thought PJ was going to talk about the PhDs, one per ward, because somehow under Omitutun 1.0, I think Ibarapa Central and North was omitted, and I spoke to Dr. Olatunji. We're reviving that. It will be one of the first for them to mobilize into as soon as we start this phase. So we're in the process of recruiting 232 doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapists, and medical laboratory scientists, and the exit replacement of health workers who left the service from 2021 till date. This ensures that our public healthcare service does not continue to be incapacitated by lack of personnel.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
The grading of roads, I believe I already given a nod for implementation of about 30 kilometers of roads per local government. They should go ahead and grade it up. Given the nod. I understand maybe they're waiting for the break. You know, we normally have July, August break. But the money is sitting in the account of each local government right now.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
It has been 5 years since our administration took over the highest office of governance in Oyo State. From day one, our promise has been to restore the dignity and pride of the good people of Oyo State, so that we maintain our mantra as the state of first, the pace-setter state. In all this time, we have prioritized our economy and taken steps that put us ahead of all other states in times of crisis. We have seen crisis and we have overcome them. This is because we have always had your support as we made people first decisions. I always say to people, they come around and say the State Assembly, you know, they are rubber stamp. In as much as we have alignment on what we want to deliver for our people, what again are we fighting or dragging about? So we'll continue to maintain the cordial relationship between the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary arms of government. Some have said we make populist decisions. Well, our decisions are not populist because they are not anti-elite or anti-establishment. I don't know if Dr. Moronkola Thomas is here. Okay, Doctor, your job of political sensitization is cut out for you. So you have my total support to do that. We are pro-people because we know that the source of our mandate is the people. No Godfather except God the Father and the people of Oyo State. And that's why you're not having issues like in other states where Godfathers are fighting God's sons. That's what happened in Oyo State because there's no Godfather. The people have shown us that they believe in us.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
So I've just brought to you extracts from Sheyi Makindi's State of the State address that was delivered on the floor of the Oyo State House of Assembly on the 13th of June 2024. So let me take this call before we'll go for our break. It's coming from Abdusalam Misbauddin from Coca-Cola. Hello, Alhaji Abdusalam Misbauddin.
Hello, Edmond. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. On the issue of leadership that can change the course of governance from being bad to being better. I haven't seen such a leaders in Nigeria, especially since 1999. How on earth could every president, because they are not creative, they lack ability and capacity to deliver, they will go after the pension fund before they can do anything. And even at that, even if they go after the pension fund, they will just withdraw the money and share it. Obasanjo, he went after pension fund. Jonathan, he went after pension fund. I'm not clear about that of Yar'Adua. Buhari, he went after into the post of our pensioner. Now Tinubu is looking in the same direction too. Why can't they be creative and find a means of rejigging the economy so that we gradually becoming a productive nation, manufacturing nation? So I don't know, but let's wait and see. The future is bright, and I hope that things will come good, but not under this APC government, not under this Tinubu, because Dubai is looking towards pension fund in the first place. If you know you have something to offer and to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Alhaji Misbauddin Abdusalam from Coca-Cola. I can see Lansky here. He said, we are only being reactionary. Nigeria was a failed country, not a nation, from the get-go. So it was available for opportunists to grab a hold of it, which they have since the 1970s. He says, let us sit and think. Was Nigeria meant to be in the first place? Okay. That is Kewe Lasky. Okay, you're raising some points. Perhaps, Kewe, perhaps I will have an interview with you. I'll come back. Your message is long. I'll come back, read it, and if possible, I'll call you so that you can explain your idea. Adedakbo Opashino says, good morning, Edmund. We cannot use yesterday's solution to solve today's problems. Thank you. Rajia Yotunde Farouk, good morning. Isa Hassanat, good morning. Thank you for being here. Abdul Rashid Adikboju says, Nigerian leaders are sitting in the car, moving the steering wheel from right to left all day long and pushing the accelerator continually without starting the engine. But if they are moving, that means the engine is working now. Is it not? You said they are sitting in the car, moving the steering wheel, okay, from right to left all day long and pushing the accelerator, okay, I get you, continually without starting the engine. That's a serious one. Okay, let's go for this break. After the break, we'll talk more It's your show. It's your show. I'll open the lines. I want you to talk. I just laid the groundwork. Remember, it's about sober reflection. A country in crisis, the task before this generation. So I'll open the lines for you to talk. Also leave your comments on X, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I will take as much comment as possible. I am Edmondo Bilo. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Stay with the radio, man. The global village of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before.
Join the radio man, Edmondo Bilo, on state affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo. Radio just got deeper. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
Why do you write books?
The only thing I enjoy more than writing is reading. I enjoy reading more than writing. I love to read.
But you write?
Yes, I love to write too, but I love reading more.
Do we read enough in this climb?
Nigerians are being overwhelmed by the epidemic of ignorance.
Did you say that?
Epidemic of ignorance.
Then we need to heal them.
So, and many of our leaders don't think reading is necessary. There is no country that is great that will not consciously go after knowledge. The country must consciously, not by the number of universities you are creating or all those things, you must consciously go after knowledge. Some years ago, I was invited by, I think, Nigeria Institute of Builder, whatever, in Lagos, and I asked them, why are buildings still so expensive? You want to build new cities, you have to build daycare and all those things. Create new method of building that will be cheaper so that anybody can live comfortably. So those are things that can only be done by conscious pursuit of knowledge. So, leaders prefer to distribute rice than to distribute books. If you say a politician now, they say, oh, we are giving 1,000 bags of rice. Why don't you buy books for secondary schools? Why don't you equip libraries and laboratories?
Do we still have libraries?
So we still have libraries, but
they've disappeared.
So, how do we create the next generation? When China was struggling, after China emerged from the Cultural Revolution, and Chairman Mao died, and Deng Xiaoping became the leader, he said, the West is, they are our opponents, but we have to copy them. So all the brilliant students from China, many of them were sent to America to go and study. We need to learn from these people who are so good. So, how many our politicians today read, not to talk of encouraging reading?
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Hello, great people of Africa. I greet you from this side of time. Africa is coming. We're here. The pains and the sufferings you see today, we will conquer them. I feel your pain. I feel the sadness of the moment. But it's in times like this that we rise and shine. It is in times like this that the future gets clearer in our imagination. I know we are exposed to servitude as we experience mass atrocities in the names of ethnicity and religion. They are citizens rooted in their cultural and religious heritages, but they are also utterly opposed to reason, ethnic and religious tolerance. Who will save them from themselves? I'm talking about those who dwell on the biases that make a land flowing with milk and honey despondent. Fellow countrymen and women, stooping to this tendency is the avoidance of the enlightenment of development. Therefore, peace is rattled as the poison of hatred spreads in the land. We will solve that problem as we go. Take this to heart. There is no greater sign of a general decay of virtue in a nation than a want of zeal in its inhabitants for the good of the country. Those are the words of Addison. It reminds me of Francesco Gucciardini. While reading him, he makes the point that ambition is not a reprehensible quality, nor are ambitious men to be censured if they seek glory through honorable and honest means. He says, in fact, it is ambitious men and women who produce great and excellent works once they take the honorable part. He says those who lack this passion are cold spirits inclined towards laziness than activity. But ambition is pernicious and detestable when it has as its sole end power. That is the case of the Nigerian political leadership. Ambition is pernicious and detestable when it has as its sole end power. That is the bane of the Nigerian political system. Are you there? Look at this. I have always believed in the power of education. If you studied some of the book written by the leader of Dubai, you see how education nurtures the mind, how education drives idea. In fact, I delivered a lecture 2 years ago at Dominican University about the power of education in lifting the mind. That lecture is going to be part of my book. And I made reference to the different approaches that was adopted by Lee Kuan Yew and his team in Singapore. I made reference to what is going on in Malaysia. I'm not using Europe now as the case study. I'm going to places. Malaysia was behind Nigeria at Nigeria's independence. Even South Korea was struggling because by the 1950s, there was the Korean War that divided Korea into North and South Korea. So it took them about even 20 years to recover, and Nigeria got her independence in 1960. By this time, South Korea was recovering from the war. In terms of developmental indices, it was behind Nigeria. Today, South Korea is an advanced country. Telephones, cars coming from South Korea. So when we talk about embracing the values of knowledge economy, I'm talking about transforming human resources into wealth. That is the task before this generation. Hello. If you're a young person listening to me, the task before you again is to transform your resources, your human ability, into wealth. It doesn't take much. It just takes about deep thinking. In today's rapidly evolving world, the true wealth of a nation lies not in its natural resources, but in its people, their knowledge, skills, and innovative capabilities. A knowledge economy is built on the premise that information, education, and intellectual capital are the driving forces of economic growth and prosperity. Embracing the values of a knowledge economy is not just a strategic advantage, it is a necessity for any society aiming to thrive in the 21st century. That is why I have consistently called on the governor for your state to put in more money in education. Primary education, the foundation. Secondary education. And the governor has stated clearly he would do that and do it well. It is a social contract with the people of your state, and Sheyi Makinde must not renege.
You will also recall that starting with the 2024 budget, we allocated 15 billion naira annually for infrastructural renewal, classrooms and basic infrastructure in public primary and secondary schools in Oyo State. This, along with consistent payments of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC counterpart funds, will help us significantly reduce the infrastructural deficits in our public schools. Just a small note on where we've been over this past 4+ years. UBEC intervention, that's a SUBEB. Everybody before now, if you appointed SUBEB chairman, people are coming to you thinking this is a lucrative appointment. But quite frankly, with the deficit that we have in Oyo State, if we continue, because SUBEB, their budget is about 3 billion yearly, sometimes 2.5. We pay 1.5 or 1.25, and then the federal government through UBEC, they will put in the counterpart portion of it. The deficit that we have is between 40 and 50 billion. Most of our schools, no fence, you have roofs that have collapsed, but some of our children, sitting on the floor to learn. So if we continue spending 3 billion consistently every year, it will take at least 15 years to close the gap. And we're quite aggressive. We want to close this gap in 3 years, starting from this year. What that means is that we will spend 15 billion every year consistently outside of UBEC SUBEB intervention to close that gap. And we're starting with about 70 schools that have approved. Once our students go on holiday, by the time they come back for first term of the next academic year, at least 70 schools will have been completely taken out of having any infrastructural deficits.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
That is the governor for your state, Sheyi Makinde, talking about the planned investment in the education sector. To also let you know that the World Bank has supported the Oyo State government with a 3.5 billion naira grant for the renovation of 105 selected public primary schools across the state. Governor Makinde made the disclosure yesterday in Ibadan during a symbolic presentation of checks to representatives of the beneficiary schools. The governor was represented by his deputy, Bayo Lawal. Any investment in education excites me. And I'm excited with what is going on in Oyo State at the moment with regard to the education sector. I'm going to bring details of how this money will be spent, and I'm going to cover the infrastructural development. Knowledge is power. We need a knowledge economy. I'll be back. So, stay with the radio, man. Just don't go away. There's a lot to talk about.
knowledge of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before
Join the radio man, Edmond Obilo, on State Affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo. Radio just got deeper. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
In this book, the point that Lugat's natural allies could only be the Hausa Fulani, whose ideals of control was conquest. How did Lugat fall in love with the North?
Well, if you are coming from a social background and you are now in charge of a territory and you find allies who share the same feudal, the same aristocratic background with you, it becomes easier for you to operate. For example, they could not trust Awolowo. They could not even, they feared Awolowo, but they knew Azikiwe was a different character. So in the end, it was very easy for Lugat to cooperate with the North.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Dr. Dauda, let me read from page 326 of the book. You said the central characters that we here call the nationalist triad, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and Sir Ahmadu Bello, set the rules of the late colonial era's political game. What do you mean by set the rules?
Yes, set the rule, depending on where they were coming from. Sir Ahmadu Bello knew how far behind they were, the North was, to compete with the rest of Nigeria. But also...
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
The program is State Affairs, coming to you from Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. All right. It's your word, your time. I have a message here. It's a message from Yemi Alabi. Hello, Yemi Alabi. How are you doing this morning? She says, I agree with your submission with a caveat. Change in leadership has not been able to effectively change any fundamentals within our national space because those who occupy those positions are products of the society and therefore prototypes of that same system. Yemi Alabi continues, let me add that if Mao needed 4 years validation, China would not be what it is today. Democracy is a very unlikely tool for nation building. Yemi Alabi submits. She says, we may eventually get some things right, but it's unlikely to be sustainable. That is Yemi Alabi. She throws up some other fundamental issues again. How do I respond to this? But Yemi, remember, in the absence of democracy, some African countries have faltered too. Mobutu Sese Seko governed Zaire for about 28 years. Zaire, now Congo. Did he develop Zaire? Yoweri Museveni has been the president of Uganda since 1986. How far has Uganda gone? Nobody has taken over from him. He's still the president of Uganda. Huh? Daniel Arap Moi was the president of Kenya for more than 25 years. Is Kenya an example of an advanced state? John Bendel Bokassa of the Central African Republic governed that country for more than 18 years. As I speak, since 1963, the family of Nnasingbe Eyadema has been at the helm in Togo. Eyadema governed for more than 26 years. When he died, his son For Eyadema took over. Is Togo an example of democracy? It's a dictatorship, but how far are they gone? As I'm talking in Chad, the father died and the son took over as military leader. He has won a kangaroo election now to be the president of Chad. Will anything good come out of Chad? The point I'm making is that yes, longevity in leadership also has a role to play. But in the case of Africa, it hasn't worked. Lee Kuan Yew governed Singapore for more than 25 years. And we saw what he did with the years. We saw what he did. He moved Singapore from third world to first world. Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia governed for about 23, 24 years. He is Obasanjo's friend. Obasanjo wanted to copy his model when Obasanjo wanted a third term that he denied. But he wanted that model. But what came out? We saw what came out of Malaysia. These were men with thinking cap. That even if you give them 1 year, they can do something. In Africa, we have given some of them 30 years. Nothing came out of it. Yakubu Gowon was the president of Nigeria for about 9 years. We fought a civil war. America is a democracy. Yes, it is advanced. It's about the thinking. It's about the mindset. That's the point I'm making, you hear me? That with democracy, you can still develop with the mindset. There was the British Glorious Revolution of the 17th century. It was a fight against monarchy, a fight to give the citizens the power to determine their leaders. That is democratic. There was the French Revolution of 1789. It launched democracy. France is an advanced state. As we speak, Singapore is a practicing democracy. China has its own form of democracy that is communism. They are all advancing. As we speak, Dubai is a monarchy. So the point I'm making, it's not necessarily the kind of politics, it is the mind of the leaders. Dubai is a monarchy. But go to Dubai, go to Doha. Doha is a monarchy. Israel is a democracy. There are different roads to the stream. But what you do with the road is a product, a function of your mindset. That is the point, you hear me? You can also reply. And I can put you on if you want to talk. I can put you on. Just say, put me on, and I'll call you. But I like the dimension you have taken the discourse into. So the lines are open. Let's talk. Remember, it's about sober reflection. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Edmond.
Good morning.
I hope you are good.
You can see I'm good.
Thank God. I've been listening to you for at least more than an hour now. Thank God for life. That's all I can say. But one of the questions that always ring bell in my mind every day is this current generation, the generation that is in their 60s, 70s, and 50s, what legacy are they passing on to the generation that is in their 40s, 30s, 20s, 10, and yet unborn? You know, it is very, very difficult to discuss about Nigerian now without hatred, without tribalism. Come to Twitter space, you will see the likes of Rino Omokri peddling ethnicity, tribalism to the highest. If you want to become popular in Nigeria, just mention an Igbo man or use the name Igbo. You become popular in Nigeria. Criticize that ethnic group. Talk of how to molest them or how to devour them. You gain popularity and people will like you in Nigeria. Secondly, I want to ask a question. What is the job of river basins authorities in Nigeria? Why were they created? The next question I want to ask, is it a rocket science for federal government to build a technical colleges, collapse some polytechnics or some universities, convert them into a practical technical colleges where you can go and learn it practical? And then one thing again I want to suggest for government, instead of paying NYSC, I served in Calabar. The 365 days that made up the 1 year was a total waste as a youth corps member, if not of self-esteem and maybe individual mind development that I tried as much as possible to get myself involved. NYSC is a jamboree. It has no meaning. I suggest that the federal government should get all the core members into something meaningful like agriculture. If you read agriculture, we give you 100,000. We're going to give you 200,000 naira to set something. Then collaborate. The core members should collaborate with core members should collaborate with their friends. Set up something. We give you people 500,000 naira or 1 million to set up even maize farm. Then every local government in Nigeria should be productive. I come from Imo State, where we have an organized local government that was created under Sam Mbakwe. But when Rochas came in with his monarchy life system of government, he destroyed everything. Mr. Edmond, please, I want you to have a tour in Imo State. Go and check the mother and child hospital built by former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha, commissioned by Professor Vice President Yemi Osibajo. Go and check the state of that hospital. Go and check police headquarters built by Rochas Okorocha. Go and check the state of those infrastructures. None of them were completed, and 95% of the windows, doors, everything have disappeared. The blocks are missing.
All right.
I mean, the blocks are missing. Now, I want to please, Mr. Edmond.
You have done 5 minutes. I'm not going to give anybody more than 5 minutes.
Oh, sorry, please.
Okay, just
I
round
want you
off.
to see if you can be able to this year. How can we help you to make sure that your studio is being translated into other languages, into our local languages? Because all English only can solve our problem in this year gospel of a new Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, he called from the UK. He also raised some fundamental points that the polytechnics should be converted to technical colleges. The question is that the technical colleges we have, what have we done with them? I remember when I was growing up in Benin, one of the best schools in Benin was the Benin Technical College. The first time I visited the Benin Technical College, I wanted to leave my secondary school and go to the technical college. I went into their Introtech lab, introductory technology lab. It was so equipped. But the last time I visited Benin, I went to that technical college. Oh my. My God. So, is it about the conversion of the polytechnics? Or we have technical colleges. What have we done with them? In fact, we created the polytechnics for technological development. Now we are converting all the polytechnics to universities. They are now offering BSc. Everybody wants BSc. You know? He also said that the NYSC is a jamboree, that he didn't gain much from his NYSC. But for me, one of the best things that happened to me was the NYSC. Not because I was waiting for NYSC to make me enjoy it. I took that opportunity. I had my NYSC at St. Louis Grammar College, St. Louis Grammar School, Mokola, Ibadan. That's where I served. It was one of my best moments. I taught physics in that school. For 1 year, I was shaping the minds of those girls. Consistently, I would come early to school. I will conduct the assembly. In the assembly ground, I'm talking to all the students. When I came in, they were calling me uncle. I said, no, don't call me uncle. Call me teacher. So I was the only person in that school that the student addressed as teacher, because I came in there to teach. I wanted to impact them, all round impactation. So when I was leaving, I was sad. I wanted to be more, if teaching was that lucrative. So I used that opportunity. When I left St. Louis, I wanted to continue teaching. So I created what I called the Science Project, where I went to Obakimbi, Loyola College. I told them, give me your top 5 students in physics and mathematics to be part of my project. I used to assemble them at this private school, Semfes Private School at Mokola, St. Louis College, Obakimbi. I wanted to train the scientists that would change the world. That was the idea of my science project. I wanted to give them training in mathematics and physics. But sadly, that project collapsed. I couldn't fund it. So it was getting to a point where I was asking the students to pay. And they were ready to pay. But that was not my idea. I said, no, why should I collect money from them? My own idea was to train them, get the funding, create something like a mathematics lab. Perhaps I also didn't have the good idea to pursue that project. And it pains me that that project collapsed. My idea was to build scientists. So I enjoyed my NYC. That's the point I'm making. I took advantage of it. I was also a photographer during that time. I was taking landscape pictures. I would travel, take landscape pictures, super pictures. I would enlarge them and take them to some of the biggest shops in Ibadan and Lagos. So my NYC was a creative time for me. So I enjoyed it. But I don't know what we should do with the NYC, but I enjoyed mine. You also made mention of the Igbo. You see, the Igbo nation should stop playing the victim. I hear some Igbo commentators, everybody hates the Igbo. The Igbo nation should stop playing, or let me not say the Igbo, some Igbo people should stop playing the victim. The Igbo nation cannot be a victim. The Igbo mind is so advanced and innovative that when he plays the role of a victim, it's pitiable. Igbo people cannot be victims. Yes, they fought a war they did not win, but they are not victims considering their innovative spirit, their egalitarian nature. I refuse to be a victim. What has happened to the Nigerian state is also a product of Igbo action, Yoruba action, Fulani action, Hausa action. No tribe should play the victim because their sons and daughters have contributed to what the Nigerian state has become. Igbo governors are some of the worst governors in Nigeria. What the Igbo nation needs to play up is to play up its creativity and innovation. What the Yoruba nation should play up is to play up its knowledge base and innovation. Should stop playing this victim. Oh, Fulani have invaded our forest, so we are victims. Where were you when they were invading the forest? Oh, Fulanis are driving us off our farm. That is playing the role of a victim. And you allow criminals to drive you out of your farms? And I keep raising this point with the governor. The Yoruba nation cannot play victim to Fulani criminals or whoever criminals that come, Igbo criminals, Yoruba criminals. A criminal is a criminal. And when you play victim to a criminal, you look pitiable. That is why the security and welfare of the people is key. No tribe in Nigeria deserves to play the victim role. We are all contributors to what the Nigerian state has become. The character of the Igbo governor is this character of the Hausa governor, of the Fulani governor, of the Yoruba governor. They are in a league of corrupt personnel. Some of them are also advancing their thought beyond that. So when I make this point, it is not absolute. Hello. This point is not. Good morning.
Hello.
I can hear you. Your name and where you are calling from.
Yeah, Edmond, my name is Mazi. I'm calling from Germany.
Good to hear your voice, Mazi.
Dalo. Yeah, Edmond, Obilo, wonderful topic always wonderful program. I've been following you for many years now, and you're just awesome. Edmond, you know one thing with Black Africans, Sub-Saharan Africans, we refuse to tell ourselves the truth. The truth is that the map that the colonial masters left for us, that artificial creation, artificial racist construct called countries they created for Black people, that is why we are underdeveloped. That's why we have never-ending ethnic and religious conflict, in sub-Saharan African countries. As long as we remain in those entities, those racist constructs, I'm telling you, in another 50 years, 100 years, our children are going to be complaining the same thing we are complaining today, my brother. Let me tell you, in Europe here where I live, I've lived here 33 years. By November, I will be 33 years here. I've lived in many European countries, big, small. Every ethnic group is on their own. No matter how big they are, now, no matter how small they are on their own, managing their own affairs. Because they are not one people. The last war you had here in Europe, okay, Ukraine is still fighting. And let me tell you, the war between Ukraine and Russia is ethnic and religious war. Europeans are supporting, a Catholic part of Ukraine, while Russia is supporting her own people that are Orthodox Christians. who speaks also, who are Russians. And this is the fact that the media is not telling you. The last one was Yugoslavia, where seven countries fought and then they divided themselves. Today they are managing their affairs. Yesterday or day before yesterday, Serbia and Slovenia played against themselves in this ongoing European Championship. 40 years ago, they played in one Yugoslavia. That was the last time the Yugoslavia played in European tournament. 40 years ago, but 2 days ago, Slovenia and Serbia are playing against themselves. There's peace now in former Yugoslavia. Croatia is playing, is part of this tournament. You know, Slovenia, Serbia. This is people that have realized that they are not one people. Instead of living together and killing themselves, why not they go their separate ways? I visited recently. I was in Croatia. Go and see a beautiful place. Slovenia, go and see a beautiful place, because they are now managing themselves according to their value system, according to their culture, tradition, and religion. This is what is missing in Africa. You bring people together that have no value system, nothing at all, nothing in common, and then you want them to live in peace. It's not going to happen. Look at even Spain and Catalonia. You see the crisis there because the Catalonians want to be free. Look at Scotland. Scotland wants to be free from English. Scotland is even playing this ongoing European football in Germany, even though Scotland is in the UK, but they have their national anthem, they have their Scottish pounds, they have their national football team, they have everything, but they're still in part of the UK. You see why there's stability in UK? Because they know that if you make it a unitary system, they will fight themselves. Wales have their own police, have their own culture and everything. North Ireland has their own pounds. They don't even use British pounds. They don't even sing the British national anthem.
Okay.
So as long as we remain in this one construct called Nigeria, this thing will be going on.
All right.
And finally, the elites, they know this fact, but because they are profiting from that place, they're profiting from national cake. That's why they don't want to come on round table and discuss how to renegotiate Nigeria.
Thank you.
They are the problem. They are a big problem. Thank you, my brother. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. The conversation is on. You know, state affairs is like a dialogue. It's a class of dialogue. I'll play you an interview when I come back from this break. It's to take us back into time. You know, it's to take us back into time. I'll play you that interview. It's an interview I had with Dr. Yemi Farumbi. Oluwasegun Olamilekon, I can see you on X. If you're on X, let's repost. X guys, let's go. Let's repost. Let's take the message further so that others who are not here will join later. Or Lalekon Hakim, I can see you here on X. Let's repost on X. He says, ever since I was born, the word hardship keeps on the rhetorics that our musicians persistently sing to us. For how long are we going to evict from this crisis? It's your mind. Let's evict from it. Let's fight it. All right? Yes, that caller from Germany made some fundamental points about states in Africa. How were they created? How were they created? But you know, states are also artificial creations. Even Germany, I could remember Germany, Prussia, Prussia. Europe has also divided. Yes, he made some fundamental points. The last straw was Yugoslavia. Czechoslovakia has broken up. So Europe is like an ethnic state. So why Africa? Why did they now merge different ethnic groups in Africa to form states? Okay? But again, Somalia is a monolithic state. Somalia is one tribe, but they are killing themselves. You know, even Rwanda, when you say Tutsis and Hutus, the Rwanda genocide, they have one language. There's no language like Hutu or Tutsi. Those were European creations. It's one Rwanda, but when they killed themselves. You know, the Kiriji War before the Europeans invaded Yoruba land, it was a war between Yoruba people killing themselves. Ekiti, Barakbo, Ibadan. Modakeke Ife, they were the Yorubas. You know, Umuleri and Aguleri in Anambra State, they killed themselves. They are Igbos. Umuleri, Aguleri, Modakeke Ife, Modakeke. You know, the United States is a country of races, different race. Obama, African origin. You have Latinos. I'm just raising this fundamental point as the anchor man. I'm not disagreeing with your views. We have different views. Nigeria needs to build consensus. That is not in doubt. Okay, let me take this call before I bear a chance of Obina. You've been trying to reach me. Hello, Abeza Charles.
Yeah, good morning, Radio Man.
Good morning.
Yes. It's nice hearing from you again.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the points you have raised this morning. And the most important for me is the mind game you spoke about. You know, I made the point one certain time that I said something like that every effect is a reflection of its cause. In other words, every effect is a reflection of its cause. For instance, if you have a table that is wobbling, it will be the case that the construct of that table is not well formed, is not well developed to construct a good table. So that table reflects the constructor of the table. Talking about the Nigerian state, I think the main problem, everybody is talking about changing institutions, scrapping NYC or things like that. But I think the major problem is the human person. Attention should be given to the key institutions like education, the health facilities in the state. I went to my former primary school in Oyo State here. I was St. Bridget's Mokola. When I got there, I saw the structure, I wept because the roofs, everything was in total disarray. And I felt if the state is really working, it shouldn't just be roads and other facilities without paying attention to the primary institutions that ought to be taken care of. This is where the human mind is formed. Attention should be given to such institutions. I'm not saying the governor of the state is not trying, but I think the primary institutions should be given key attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abeze Charles Obina. Thank you for your contribution. And thank you for always being there. I see your comments all the time. I'm even looking at your comment now on X. Are you on X? Let's repost. Let's repost. Official Moji Morire Moji, how are you? Moji says it's time we need to check our curriculum in schools. What type of education system are we operating? I agree with you, Moji. Moji says we need to sit ourselves down and change our orientations in terms of educating our mind. You know, it's a deliberate thing. It's a policy thing. It's not just, it's a policy team and the leadership will drive it. I can see Kewa Lasky. Kewa, I saw your message on Facebook not too long ago. My ex-guys, I can see ISK. ISK, how are you? ISK, you've been trying to call. on WhatsApp. I can see this picture. ISK is an apostle of the positive message. You can follow him on X. ISK. ISK, you said the Igbo nation should stop playing the victim. You are quoting me. Yes. Victims hardly win. You know, victims are those you console. Those who want to win should play the champions. The Igbo nation is a champion nation. Come on, be playing victim. Igbo nation, playing victim. You fought a nation. You fought a country for 3 years without arms. You developed ammunitions. And you are playing victim. All those Igbo boys playing victims online. Hey, shame on you. The Igbo nation is too vibrant to be a victim anywhere in the world. Yes, you've not gained the presidency. Fight for it. Power is not given. It is taken. Peter Obi has made a point. Go for it. Don't play the victim. Oh, they should give you power. Why? Everybody wants power. Fight for it. Play the politics of power. Get it. Use it for development. Play the victim. Neither should the Yoruba nation play the victim. Beautiful people. The Igbo people. The Yoruba people. Look at their civilization. Now, don't you study history? Read the history of Yoruba land. Very advanced civilization. No poverty should be in Igbo land or Yoruba land. What are we talking about? Enough. I'll be back after this break. Hey, the radio man is here. Dayo Francis, you've been trying to call. Dayo Francis, I'll call you after this break. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Let's relax, calm down a bit, take some water, then I'll come back.
We have studied the course. Democracy is neither a foreign nor abstract concept devoid of real-life meaning for us. Neither can we afford to reduce or minimize it to being nothing but the mere holding of periodic elections where one candidate and party outdo another. While elections attract democratic attention, they are but one aspect of democracy. Democracy is a way of life that encompasses a broad outlook of which elections are but a part. As such, a nation can have elections without being democratic, but a nation cannot be truly democratic without holding elections. That we have established a tradition of holding transparent, open, and fair elections gives credence to our democratic standing. That we have experienced peaceful transitions of government affirms our democratic temperament. Fellow Nigerians, true democracy shined its light on the daily lives of the people who live under its nurturing wings. It affords us the freedom and liberty to think as we want, live where we want, and pursue whatever legitimate endeavors suits us. Democracy does not assume some false or false unity of opinion. In fact, democracy assumes that conflicting ideas and varying opinions shall be the order of the day, given the diversity and variety of the human experience. There must be diverse perspectives and viewpoints. What democracy demands is that we do not resolve differences through force and repression, but to make allowance for the legitimacy of views that differ from our own. The other forms of government imposed against the will of the people. Democracy aims to make leaders who conduct themselves as servants of the common good, not as viceroys of the narrow interests of the might.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
In this book, the point that Lugard's natural allies could only be the Hausa Fulani, whose ideals of control was conquest. How did Lugard fall in love with the North?
Well, if you are coming from a social background and you are now in charge of a territory and you find allies who share the same feudal, the same aristocratic background with you, it becomes easier for you to operate. For example, they could not trust Awolowo. They could not even, they feared Awolowo. But they knew Azikiwe was a different character. So in the end, it was very easy for Lugard to cooperate with the North.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
Dr. Dauda, let me read from page 326 of the book. You said the central characters that we here call the nationalist triad, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and Sir Ahmadu Bello, set the rules of the late colonial era's political game. What do you mean by set the rules?
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
There was another meeting of Yoruba leaders of thought in Ibadan on the 1st of May, 1967. In that meeting, Obafemi Awolowo was elected by acclamation as the leader of the Yoruba people.
Yes, after Colonel Robert Adeyinka came to the meeting to appeal to him, he made a speech, passionate speech. If your colleagues say you should lead them, accept to lead them. Of course, Adebayo himself didn't belong to the Awolowo school. It was Padu who shared Awolowo's political philosophy. So he was one of those who needed accommodation by Awolowo. And of course, he had this problem also with the farmers.
Agbekoya.
And it only required the intervention of Awolowo to stop it. In any case, and Awolowo said clearly, I will accept, but that as soon as political parties are allowed to emerge, I will stop being the leader of the Yorubas, because I don't expect all the Yorubas to be in my political party. And that was why in the latter days in his life, you never limit reference to him as leader of the Yorubas. You talked more about his president of UPN, leader of the UPN. From 1977 or 78, he really didn't see himself again as the leader of the Yorubas.
But today, has any man in the history of Yoruba nation assumed the status of Obafemi Awolowo?
The truth is that before him, Yoruba had no leader. And after him, we've not had one like that. I think he's the kind of person that you see one of them in 1 century or so. As a matter of fact, what had given Yoruba solidarity, the solidity they have today, is the quality of mind and action of Awolowo. Nobody ever governed the Yoruba together as one. Nobody. Not even in the days of Oyo Empire. All the Yorubas were never governed as one political unit.
Awolowo was able to bring the nation together.
And he did so well. So everybody became so proud to identify with him.
On the 1st of May 1967, Awolowo delivered a speech at that meeting. And that speech today is referred to as the 4 imperatives by some.
Yeah.
He makes the point that only a peaceful solution must be found to arrest the worsening stalemate in Nigeria at that time. Another imperative is that the eastern region must be encouraged to remain part
of Nigeria.
Yeah. And the third imperative is that if the eastern region is allowed by acts of omission or commission to secede from or opt out of Nigeria, then the western region and Lagos must also stay out of the federation. He made that point.
Yeah.
Why did he make that statement? What does that statement mean?
Very clear. You cannot have a Nigeria that is only the north and the west. That's the point he's making. If you're going to have a Nigeria, it's either to be of all of us or no Nigeria. And of course, he had the problem on hand, the northern troops. Either in that speech or in a subsequent speech, he said the northern troops must be withdrawn, so that the Westerners can have also the freedom to take their own decision. And it was clear to him, if you force the East out, or you allow them to go, then the West must be allowed to go, or must be deemed as having been forced out. That you're not going to have a situation, you will have a dominant North. And he has just come from prison, having tasted out of the bitter pill that northern leadership or oligarchy can inflict. We're not going to allow that to continue.
He makes the statement, any war by the North against the East on any account whatsoever would be an unholy crusade for which it would be unjustifiable to shed a pint of blood. Awolowo had also said that any war against the East would be illegitimate unless it had the backing of the West and the Midwest.
So what he's saying is that if the North, as northern region, decided to wage a war on eastern Nigeria, they are their own. But of course, they fought a war ostensibly by Nigeria against Biafra. So even though The commanders at that time that started the war, that was Mohammed Shua, 1st Division, that entered via Enugu. The 2nd Division was General Murtala Muhammad. They didn't even have a 3rd Division until we had problem in the Midwest. So they themselves didn't trust any other person, but were then ostensibly in the name of Nigeria. It was Federal Republic of Nigeria now fighting a war against Biafra. Whereas if they had chosen to fight as Northern Nigeria, I'm sure even the Midwest that passionately believed in Nigeria would have folded their hands.
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obino is live. Stay tuned.
Yes, that interview with Yemi Farumbi takes us back into time. It's also one of the problems that is being discussed by the tribalists on the Igbo and Yoruba sides, Awolowo's role in the Civil War. Someday I will do a concrete analysis of that subject on state affairs. I just brought you that to refresh your mind. As Yemi Farumbi there. Okay, I have Dio Francis on the line. Hello, Dio.
Yeah, the great general, the General Bill himself. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's our speech, that speech of Dr. Farumbi you're talking about. And I think there was another speech of Awo when Tafa Balewa wanted to declare the state of emergency in the Western region, when Awo was telling him that, no, you should not do it. The only problem is in Ibadan. The politicians in Ibadan are the one having the problem. Why do you want to declare the entire region a state of emergency? I think those are the two speeches I will recommend you can do a little bit research more. Yeah, so just to put a little bit contribution on this morning conversation, you were talking about the Nigerian mind engineering. You see, one thing I noticed about the framers of the American systems, they actually have psychologists anytime they are doing policies. And they started after the end of the First World War, when President Wilson Woodward, brought in some, when the American revolution, engineering revolution, technology revolution started. So those psychologists are to think, because of the race system in America where we have black, white, Asian and everything, we think differently. And I think that is the situation I see about Nigeria because of the cultural diversity. We think differently. And there's nothing wrong for us to be different. Absolutely, I think there is beauty in diversity, but the problem is superiority of ethnicity. That is where is what is really causing the problem. And it goes back to the review. I think somebody mentioned it earlier that we need to review our history. The way we talk history in Nigeria, it sometimes you hit it a little bit this morning, that this victim mentality must be removed. We must say history in a way, maybe it has truth, but we have to say it in a proper way, not to gain sentiments. And another thing, just to wrap up on my review, is the media. The media is the intermediate between the people and the government. I really think maybe something is wrong with our education with the new set of generational media, because there is there's no investigative journalism. What the media does now is clouds. I even personally granted an interview during the June 12th election when somebody reached out to me. I sent an article. When I read when they wrote about me, I was like, no, they edited it. I was like, no, this is not what I said. So there's a lot they are doing with the media, and it's even happening right now. It is the last election. The media has been polarized. And this thing goes back, and we are now in a generation whereby they don't do this research reading anymore. People just go to the media and run with whatever they heard. So, Mr. Edmond, they need to do the media. And lastly, please, your ex, can you please engage us a little? Sometimes when you put a tweet like that, I see the comment section. Try and engage those sectors. I see people asking you questions, especially with the Aburi Accord. Your comments there may help continue those conversations.
Okay. Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll try.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, sir.
Okay, bye. Have a conversation. How many questions will I be able to answer online? Because yes, I see many questions, but by the time I do that, I won't be able to do anything again. That is why I come here. I see the comments. It will be tough. I have a lot on my table. Because you comment, another question will come, another will come. Even on WhatsApp, I'm getting quite more. I wish I could answer all of them. I'll see what I can do, but my table is full. Okay? Dio Francis, thank you. Everyone that has joined this edition, thank you. Next Saturday is another time. But let me say this, that collective wisdom mediates the aggression that affects our society. When we bring about the desired effect without creating a bigger war, we have followed the right course of action. The action is not skillful when it bolsters the resistance of the order. This is solved by understanding the details of the time and mediating them. Attention to details is the altruistic approach that checks those things that lead to bitter conflict and nip them in the bud. When we set out to conquer the enemy through the exhaustion of our resources and that of the opponent, we end up leaving the land empty and scattered. Much is no longer intact, and less is available to build upon. It is not about being weak. It's about being strong to check those things that stampede our progress, and we do them delightfully, for we cannot afford to be stampeded. Ethnic aggressions are narrow perspectives. The reason they always lead to devastating ends. Narrow perspectives are not moderating, accommodating, and respecting of others' intelligence. By these characteristics, they strive to enforce and resist themselves, leading to violent aggressions. Respecting our humanity, paying attention to ordinary details of our lives, responding appropriately to changing conditions, and seeking a larger perspective are ways out of unnecessary conflict. Thank you for being there. The next program is Ijoba Ibile with Abiodo Adewale. I worked with Bosun Alayode to bring you this edition of the program. I am Edmond Opilo. Thank you for listening.
In the global village of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before
Join the radio man, Edmond Obilo, on state affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo. Radio.